Finding the right kind of hearing aid can be life-changing, but there's a lot of thought that goes into it. Local audiologist Dr. Gnewikow tells us more.
One of the things people need to realize is that hearing aids really do work, and they work well. If they didn't work, you couldn't go to Duke, you couldn't go to the medical school at UVA and get hearing aids. They're not going to allow you to dispense something that is not in the best interest of the patient's health. They're not going to allow surgery, for example, when it's not going to work because of ethics. And we know hearing aids work if they're fit properly. So there are some issues. One issue is many times the hearing aid that is chosen is not appropriate for the particular loss the person has. And I think you have to take that into consideration. For example, if a person has very poor dexterity, you don't want something that's really complicated that they can't handle because they just tend to give up. And I know that happens probably more with older patients, but sometimes it happens with younger patients. You don't want to give a person a jet engine when all they need is a lawnmower. You don't want to overpower people. And I think that is an important issue. A lot of people get hearing aids and are not instructed well in their usage. And that's very important because a hearing aid is not a magic bullet that you put in your ear and it solves everything without you using your brain. So it's important that people be educated as to how to use it, when not to use it, things that they can do in different listening environments to enhance it further. But a lot of times people just don't know that. I've seen people who've had a hearing aid and I talked to them a little bit about it, one that had not come through our clinic. And I explained things and they said, well, nobody ever told me that. So I think education is important. One of the biggest issues, I think, is poor fit. Hearing aids are prescribed in much the same way that glasses and contact lenses are prescribed. Now, you can get the best glasses that money can buy, but if the prescription is wrong, they go next to your hearing aids in the dresser drawer. There are different techniques that you can use to deal with some of these issues, which we'll talk about a little, but I think the prescription of the hearing aid is one of the most critical issues. So just putting a hearing aid in a person's ear does not necessarily result in improved communication, just like putting a pair of glasses on someone's eyes does not improve their vision if the prescription is inappropriate. So what kinds of things do we do? Well, from the educational standpoint, normally when we fit hearing aids here, we have the family come in, the mother, the father, if it's a child, or the spouse, because a lot of times if you're hearing impaired, you don't always understand the instructions. And if you've got someone with you, they can say, yeah, but remember they said this about that. So I think that's pretty important. I think picking a hearing aid, not necessarily based on cosmetics. Now, everybody is concerned with cosmetics. Most hearing aids now don't show much anyway, but don't base it on cosmetics. Base it on comfort, base it on how effective it is, and how easy it is for the patient to handle. And one of the big issues which relates to adjusting hearing aids is the way they're programmed. Initially, we utilize what are called probe measures, where we actually put a very, very small microphone into the ear canal and measure the frequency range, the frequency response of the hearing aid while we're fitting it. And that's pretty much the gold standard. If you go to any major audiological facility, you'll see that they use that. And the last thing I think that's really, really critical, don't just run out and buy a hearing aid. Advertisements are misleading. Try a hearing aid for a period of time before you spend any money on it. Most audiologists will allow you to do that. In our clinic, we don't charge anything for it. We say, take these things, wear them a month, come in at intervals and let us fine tune them a little. That will tell us, number one, were you instructed adequately? Number two, are you wearing it on a regular basis? And number three, is it something that's making you better? So I guess in summary, I would say the success of a hearing aid is not the brand, but how well it's fit. And it's how compliant the patient is on following instructions and wearing it on a very, very regular basis.
Audiology Hearing Aid Associates has 2 area locations, one in Lynchburg, 434-528-4245. Also Digital Hearing for You. They also have a location in Danville. That number 434-799-6288.